And welcome to DeepDive Talent Insights and Analytics channel. This is I Think I Love My Job. Thank you for joining us again. If you don't remember who I am or you're new here and you just don't know me, I am Dr. Kalifa Oliver, your resident expert on all things employee experience here at DeepDive. What are we going to talk about today? The candidate experience. Let's go. I know you're probably thinking, this is about the employee experience. What is this about the candidate experience? I hear it a lot, but I'm here to tell you that your employee experience begins at candidacy. Think about it. When a person takes the time to submit an application to your organization, they are now protected by numerous laws. You now have to retain their information for a certain amount of time. You need to keep all of your notes. You now have to protect their private and personal information, and they can sue you for discrimination if they are not hired. For all intents and purposes, once somebody applies to your organization, consider their experience started. While all candidates won't become employees of your organization, all people in your organization were once candidates. And what you do in the very beginning of somebody's tenure, even before they were officially part of your organization, has a huge impact on how they see the organization downstream. There are several things you can do in order to improve the candidate experience, and don't forget to measure it as part of your employee life cycle. So let's talk about some things that you can do on a practical level within your organization to improve the candidate experience. Be as human as possible. The truth is, a lot of automation can make the experience a lot more efficient for the organization, but being completely impersonal also creates that feeling that if this is the best that you're going to treat me, that's how it's going to be with any organization. I know many people have experienced this, but you need to communicate. You need to communicate if the person is no longer a candidate. You need to communicate what the times for the entire process need to look like. You need to communicate even if it's checking in because there is a change in the status of the role. That was a big thing during this COVID period where a lot of jobs were frozen. This also happens a lot during transformations where you had a budget for a job, now you don't have a budget for a job because things are changing and you may have to rewrite a job. Be very respectful of your candidates. You don't know who they are and it doesn't matter. You should just be very respectful. People have taken time and energy to apply to your organization, and everything you do from the moment that they put in their information and entrust it to you, they are looking to see who you are. So while you are directly interviewing them, they are often interviewing you, but in a more discreet way. You might be the best organization on the planet and everybody wants to get in, and once you're in, you are part of a special group and team of people who everybody wants to be. That's perfectly fine, but it doesn't mean that that gives you the right to mistreat your candidates. What is often unsaid is that they do get in and they don't forget how they were treated. And while they may try to fall into the culture of the organization where they are now one of the team, often that experience they had at the beginning, the first thing that happens while they're an employee and it reminds them of that treatment that they received, you have disintegrating loyalty, commitment, engagement, and the experience is just a little worse than it could have been. As with employees, your candidate is often also your customer or a potential customer in many cases, and your organizational reputation carries through on multiple websites and multiple public forums and multiple public domains, and the discussion can be really harmful if enough people have the same negative experience. So you definitely do not want that. Just like you want your employees to have an amazing experience and you want feedback on that experience, consider your candidates having that kind of feeling, and they would like to get feedback from you and they would like to give you feedback. Be very careful though if you have a situation where you decline a candidate with a generic note 15 minutes after they have applied, if so long, and then you email them about the candidate experience. It's pretty annoying, and I hear about that type of thing a lot. Build into your systems a window of time. If there is something within that technology that you've built that flags a candidate and immediately excludes them, they should not get a rejection not too long after hitting send. It's very disrespectful, especially if you know you have an extremely long application. Your candidate experience is often seen by external people as a reflection of the employee experience. So your recruiters, your frontline, your schedulers are often your brand ambassadors, even though that's not their exact role. And so you want to make sure that your systems and your processes and your personnel reflect the values and the culture that you are trying to look for. Something I hear a lot about the candidate experience is mismatch between job description and what the actual job is. And it allows for a feeling of, this is going to be a crazy role, so maybe I shouldn't work for this company, even when it's unintentional. Be very careful when these mismatches exist, because they can create a terrible experience if a candidate becomes an employee and this person is now starting the experience behind. You don't want to do that. While you always want to have clear job titles, and I know a lot of organizations have started getting really creative with job titles, be very careful to not cross the line of creative into deceptive. If you are not hiring somebody for a position that makes them a director and it's really an entry-level position, then name it as such, because deception seen through the candidate lens can often make external folks and even internal friends that they may have, it can always give out that idea and that perception that the company itself is being intentionally deceptive, and that culture carries through. Remember, your culture and your employee experience begins the moment somebody meets you. And so for a candidate, that's the moment they encounter your application and put that information in. I really wanted to make sure and make a video about things to think about and to consider when thinking through the candidate experience. While of course I want you to take time to measure and get data on that experience, you have the responsibility and the ability to design an experience for your candidates that you also want to carry through when they become employees. The ideal candidate situation is if somebody has gotten rejected and they say, I got rejected, but I had a really good experience with that company and I would apply again. The last thing I want to touch on in this video is the candidate experience for internal candidates. In a lot of cases, you might find that internal candidates don't feel that they're being treated as specially as an external candidate, and you often have amazing internal talent, and that's how they got there in the first place. You want to make sure the experience for your internal candidates is very similar to and comparable to somebody who is external. You don't want somebody to feel like the only way for them to move up or the only way for them to get the compensation they desire or the benefits they desire or have the ability to negotiate only when they come from the outside. You really want your internal candidates to have the same experience as your candidates, and you really want to make sure that as a candidate and an employee, that is a part of their employee experience where they feel that they have options, they feel they can grow professionally, they feel that this is a place where they have a voice. Please, 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 when you think about the candidate experience, think about your internal candidates too. So that's it for today. I hope you enjoyed this topic on the candidate experience. I hope that it helps with decisions you're making related to the candidate experience within the context of the employee life cycle and the employee experience. As always, if you have any ideas or thoughts, please leave it in the comments. I'm always happy to read it and to discuss. If you like what you've seen or heard, don't forget to like and subscribe. No, I can't sing. And as always, I will leave you with this. There is always room to have a brilliant experience. Bye.